Hello everyone, welcome back to Dakota's Political Circle, and today I want to do another prediction video for you guys for president. So just to reiterate, I will be doing these hypothetical situations every month, as many as I can think of, just for fun. I'm only going to do them once a month. I'll do 2028 predictions. Now, when it gets to the point where I can't really think of any anymore, then I'll just stop doing them until it gets to the realistic portion. But I'm only going to do these for fun because, these hypotheticals are just fun things to do. Doing them once per month isn't a bad thing. And it's more about hypothetical scenarios with J.D. Vance possibly being the Republican nominee, but also eventually once I get out of the J.D. Vance realm, I'll do other, figures, maybe RFK Jr., maybe Tulsi Gabbard, some others as well, possibly on the Republican side, just to show you what I think the scenario could look like and how I think they could drive out the base and stuff like that. But this specific video is a hypothetical situation between J.D. Vance as a Republican and Gavin Newsom as the Democrat nominee. So this would be a really interesting scenario because I think this could possibly be a Republican domination. I don't think this could be the worst choice by the Dems, but it could be one of the worst choices that the Dems could pick. Mainly because Gavin Newsom is an establishment Democrat, but also at the same time, he is more of a Bernie Sanders Democrat. But the thing is, that doesn't mix too well. It's being an establishment Bernie Sanders Democrat makes it really, really hard to be supportive whatsoever. And the main reason I think that is because you have stances that, make you look good in some eyes, like possibly $15 an hour minimum wage, Medicare for all. Some people like that a lot, but also Gavin Newsom is someone that a lot of people dislike because of how establishment he is. He doesn't look like an ordinary guy, like he thinks he's above other people. That's kind of how I describe Gavin Newsom. That's why I don't think he's a good idea for the Dems. And also right here, before I start showing you how I think he would fare, I actually just want to tell you what some of his agenda his possible agenda would be. So he is for Medicare for all. He supports the idea of single-payer health care. So, he is for that. He's been a strong defender of the Affordable Care Act, which makes sense because that's normal. Democrats do that as well. But Medicare for all is a big one here. He's big on climate change. He wants achieve carbon neutrality by 2045, and banning gas cars as well. That's also a big thing because that's a big radical change that a lot of people do not like that are moderates. And then there's environmental regulations too to push those, which makes sense for a Dem. And then you got the $15 hour minimum wage. Sorry, someone was calling me on my phone. I'll have to turn that off. Sorry about that. The $15 an hour minimum wage, that's wildly recognized for Dems nowadays, but he's also establishment. That's the big thing here. And Newsom has faced several criticisms from his business groups, where he's been perceived as over-regulatory, so that could be also iffy. Education, he wants public funding for education for K through 12. And then he said college affordability. He has advocated for free community college. So he hasn't advocated for, free college entirely. So that's a little bit of an upside, I guess you could say, in the moderate realm. And then you got LGBTQ rights, which makes sense for a Dem, Criminal justice reform. He supports reforms that aimed at reducing incarceration rates. So I guess in some aspects, he could be deemed as a moderate, but not everything. But then it says ending the death penalty. That's a massive thing right there. So sanctuary state. California under Newsom has been maintained as a sanctuary state, so I would say that's more Democrat. DACA, more Democrat. He's an advocate for it. Gun control. So yeah, he's big on gun control. He's a big gun control guy, and he wants to ban certain weapons. So that's also pretty radical. Addressing the homelessness is a significant focus with policies aimed at immediate relief and long-term solutions, which that would also be a good thing. Then COVID-19 response. He was one of the strictest with COVID-19, so that's also something to look at here. So that's kind of what Gavin Newsom's about. I would consider him, like I just said, he's kind of like a Bernie Sanders Democrat, but he's also very establishmentary. He's not a moderate though. He's not a moderate. He's not like the governor of Pennsylvania. He's not like him. He's more of a moderate that a lot of people like. But when it comes to Gavin Newsom, he's someone that has some good policies that people would look to, but at the same time, he's very establishmentary. But then when you look at JD Vance is not establishmentary. He's very MAGA, very big with MAGA. He had a little bit, I guess you could say, that little bit of back stuff that not a lot of people like. But overall, JD Vance is a great candidate. But okay, let's get into it. I just wanted to talk about Gavin Newsom's policies and what he believes and stuff like that before I get into, actually doing the map, because I know some people don't know who Gavin Newsom is or don't know, the politics of Gavin Newsom. Okay, but let's get into it. Let's start with the safe Dem states. You know for a fact California is going to be a safe Dem with Gavin Newsom. Even though some don't dislike him there, I would say it's a given for Gavin Newsom. You got Oregon, Washington. You'll get Hawaii with him. I think Colorado would go solid blue with Gavin Newsom. I would say Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Maryland, Delaware. I'm not going to put New Jersey. Connecticut, Vermont. New York, I would not put solid blue. I think there's a lot of New Yorkers that do not like Gavin Newsom. And I would also say Illinois. I don't think there is any more. Actually, wait, Maine's first. And I don't think Nebraska's second would be solid. And I don't think there's any more safe Dem. If I do find any safe Gavin Newsom, I will definitely put it, but I don't think I see any more. And I'll do the safe Republican for JD Vance. So I got Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska. Nebraska's first, third. Also Maine second. South Dakota, North Dakota, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, Texas would also be safe. I would also put Alaska in safe. Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, Florida, I would also put in safe by here. North Carolina, actually, no, not North Carolina, I would not put it safe. Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia would all be safe. Ohio would be safe, especially for JD Vance. Indiana. And I think that's all the safe red. If I do find any more, I will definitely put it. Okay, so far 219 to 149. And let's do the likely Gavin Newsom states. For Gavin Newsom, I would probably say New Mexico would probably be likely. I kind of see a more favorability to Gavin Newsom in a way when it comes to that state. So I'd probably put likely when it comes to New Mexico. I also think it goes away from the Republicans a little bit. So I'd probably say that. Also Virginia, in a way, I think Virginia is very establishmentary, but I don't think they'd be likely. I don't think they'd go that far to be likely. So I'm not going to go too far with Virginia. Minnesota, I do think... Actually, no. Okay, no. Not Minnesota. You know what? No, not New Mexico either. I don't think so. Gavin Newsom is also not liked very much, so it is a very iffy subject. So let me go to JD Vance, because if I do find any, I would definitely put him, though. So let's do likely with JD Vance, because it's a little bit easier. Okay, so likely with JD Vance... I would put states like North Carolina would definitely be likely. I would say Georgia. Well, no, maybe not Georgia. Not Georgia. I think Georgia would be different. But I do think North Carolina would be likely. And I also think a state like I'm trying to think here, because these are some interesting states when it comes down to it. So likely JD Vance states. I don't think there's any more, but if I do find any, I will definitely put them. I don't think these will be likely for him. So, okay, let's go to Gavin Newsom. So I'm going to go with leans now. If I do find any likely, I'll think about it. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put New Jersey. I just don't think New Jersey shit. Well... No, I'm gonna take that off. I don't want to. Well, yeah, I don't want to go too crazy. You never know how it could be. So okay, let's go with leans. I'm just gonna go with leans for now. So I think New Mexico would be a lean. For Gavin Newsom, I think Virginia would be a lean. I don't think it would get too much closer. I think in a way it would kind of be like Kamala, but worse. So I'd say Virginia would be lean. Not tilt. I don't think it would be that close with a person like Gavin Newsom. If it was someone else that was even worse, then I would definitely say tilt for Virginia, but not in this scenario. I would also say Minnesota. I don't think they get closer. I would say lean. It makes more sense. And I would also say For New York, um, I'd probably say lean, only because uh, Gavin Newsom is very Gavin Newsom is very like Gavin Newsom's very, I'm not sure how to put it. He's very establishment, but also very Bernie Sanders. So it gets mixed results. Actually, you know what? For New York, I would just put it likely because New York's a mixed bag. I mean, they even have AOC as a representative in a certain district. So I don't know. I think New York has a mix of stuff. So I'm just gonna say likely for New York. And any more lean scenarios? Actually, yes, I will put New Jersey in the lean. I'm just going to put them in the lean because I think New Jersey shifts a little bit more to JD Vance. And if it's an establishment person and not someone that's more trustworthy, I'd say New Jersey goes a little bit more to the lean category. And then you got Maine and New Hampshire. Now, I think Maine's the worst of the two. So I'd probably put Maine in likely and then New Hampshire in lean because I don't think they'd get too much closer. Because, I mean, well, New Hampshire could, but I just don't see New Hampshire shifting that much. So I'm going to leave them right there. So, okay, I don't think there's any more lean. So let's go with lean JD Vance states. So I'd go with Georgia for lean. I'd go with Arizona and Nevada for lean. And by the way, it's at 268 now. And also, actually, before I do it, I just want to put Nebraska second in the lean category. I think it would get a little bit closer. So 268 to 226. JD Vance just needs one of these three states to win the election. So I would say that I think JD Vance could pull people from Michigan and Pennsylvania really well when it comes to Gavin Newsom because he is kind of like Kamala but worse. So I'd say a state like Pennsylvania would possibly be in the lean column. I'd say it's possible. It really depends. If JD Vance has a good lookout for people in the Rust Belt, I'd say it's very possible. But you never know. Gavin Newsom is a very bad candidate, so I'd probably go with that. Yeah, definitely. Now, when it comes to Michigan and Wisconsin, I think they kind of fall in line. So I'd probably go with lean with them too. I don't think there would be any tilt states. I just don't see a tilt. Well, maybe. No, I think a tilt state would actually be New Hampshire. I think New Hampshire would get close. You got to think about it. Gavin Newsom is a very mixed bag. You get someone that's very establishment, but also has a look at some Bernie Sanders views. So I'd say it's a very mixed bag where America doesn't like it because he's not a very likable person. And JD Vance is very good on the debate stage. He's a very likable guy. More Americans like him more than ever, especially since that debate that happened. So if I had to say if Trump did great at the end of his term, JD Vance is pushed up for the Republican Party, Gavin Newsom is pushed up for the Dems, Gavin Newsom is not a great look for the Dems, but not a horrible look, not like the worst you can get. I think for certain states he'd have an advantage, with certain states he wouldn't have an advantage. I think New Hampshire would get really close. I don't think Virginia would get that close, but I think New Hampshire would get close. New Jersey could, if it was maybe 20-30 something. Virginia, the only reason I don't see it is because even with Kamala, she still, I believe, got a really, really good amount of numbers. So even a lean sounds crazy. So let's just say this is the final look right here. I think this is a good look. Wisconsin could be closer, but I still don't think. I think Wisconsin shifts more to the right if Trump does really well in his term. Michigan would vote in line with Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania I think just does really, really well with JD Vance because he's more likable. So I'd say 312 to 226. JD Vance would win the election. In a Trump fashion, but at the same time, a little bit more gains in New Hampshire. You got more gains overall. Most likely, this would also be an electoral landslide, but also it would be a popular vote victory for JD Vance. So this would be a great win for the Republicans. This would actually be in my opinion, this wouldn't be the worst choice the Dems can choose. I think there's a worse choice out there that is more unlikable that the Dems can choose. But this right here is probably a really bad pick for the Dems, but someone they're technically possibly considering. But let me know in the comments, guys, how you think about my prediction here. It's kind of hard to predict because, when it comes to Gavin Newsom, he's not liked, but he also has some good viewpoints for a moderate perspective. So it's a mixed bag. That's why it's kind of iffy for me to pick in some ways, but I think I did a decent job at it. You never know. I think some states could be closer than others, but as of right now, you got to hypothetically think if Trump does good, I think this would be a good outcome right here. But anyway, guys, let me know in the comments how you think of this. I'll only do these probably once a month. There'll be some more interesting outcomes as well. I'll definitely do some more research on different candidates when they come to it, especially to certain ones that are more liked, more disliked, and some like RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard. It'll be really interesting to talk about certain ones. But anyway, guys, let me know in the comments. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.